The game that I will be paying attention to, let's see here. I got like quite a few. This week is weird because not a ton ranked matchups. Like nothing like jumped out at me as like, oh, this is definitely the game of the week. Besides Georgia or Kentucky at Georgia, like, and even that doesn't really even feel like it's that important. I like Kentucky a lot, but I don't like them enough to pick them to win this game.
Yeah.
Um, I do like them enough to score on Georgia and to keep it not absurd.
Okay.
Like I could see Kentucky the score of this being like Georgia wins by 3 touchdowns. Maybe like 21 or 28-7.
28-7.
That's what I'm thinking here.
I mean, if you've listened to our week 6 review, I am all in on Georgia now. I think that this isn't a close game at all, and I think Kentucky has kind of floated under the radar, and all of a sudden they're number 11 in the country, and you look up and like, how the hell did they get to 11? I mean, they beat Florida. Cool. Not a big fan of Florida this
They
year, but
definitely be in the top 10.
this is they're not getting into the top 10. If you I can't even picture Kentucky with a single digit next to their name, so I just can't. They're going to lose. They're going to get their asses kicked by Georgia this weekend.
What happened? What? All right. What happens if Kentucky wins this game? Like
I will
how?
officially retire from
How?
this podcast.
Whoa, that's something.
Unceremonious.
Okay.
I'm gonna resign like John Gruden did, um, and
Ooh.
just disappear.
See, John Gruden was racist. You would just be wrong
He wasn't just racist.
and homophobic and misogynistic.
Just
You know,
literally just about everything you could.
John Gruden to be.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, when when I found out about this, I was like, oh yeah, that makes.
yeah.
Like, there was nothing about that.
Everybody was
Like,
so like I've listened to. We're going off on a tangent on John Gruden. That's our specialty. Fourth and long winded. We go off on tangents. But I was listening to a bunch of
like,
podcasts and like seeing a bunch of reactions to it, and everybody's just like, "Oh, I thought he was such a nice guy," and like, "Oh, was he just acting this entire time?" It's like, no, he's a football guy. He's from rural Ohio, and I like it did not surprise me that he's talking like that.
he just looks like a racist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in a face meeting in the locker room on TV, he appears like because he's not stupid. He's not gonna just go around saying that stuff in public. Like he's not stupid. So, but it does not surprise me. That's all I have to say on that.
I'm gonna put it in an email.
I do have a conspiracy theory. I don't know if you're a fan of conspiracy theory.
I do love conspiracy theories, and I think I might have already seen this conspiracy theory. So tell me about it.
Urban Meyer leaked these emails to get the
Yeah.
attention off of him and that video from the past week. Urban Meyer definitely woke up yesterday morning, or I guess this morning, because it all broke last night when we're recording this. But he definitely woke up this morning and he had a pep in his step. He
Yeah.
was happy. He was thrilled. He's having the day of his life today.
So I saw a different one, and I don't really know like why it would make sense, but it was basically like saying that the owners kind of wanted him gone, like the owners in general of the NFL, because it's not the players, it's the owners that run this, not Roger Goodell. It was something along the lines of that. Um,
I don't understand
I
why. The thing that confuses me the most on it is who leaked it and why. I just don't. I don't know what the motive is. Like he's not a great head coach, but he's not terrible. Like, and he's still got like 6 years left on his contract. So it doesn't. It just doesn't. Something doesn't add up.
I mean, they didn't really show signs of being a good football team like in Las Vegas. And
They've
maybe
had shines. They went on the road and beat Kansas City last year. Like Derek Carr is a above average quarterback. I think the Raiders are competitive. They're definitely a lot more competitive than when he first got there. So
that's
I
fair.
it, I Hugh Jackson got fired for 8-8, but it's very rare for a coach to be fired for average performance. Marvin Lewis, perfect example, lasted seems like 30 years in Cincinnati, going 8-8 every single year. Different ownership
Yeah,
group that has different priorities, but still, you have to be really bad to get
you're,
fired.
you're not wrong, I guess. But I don't know. I find it interesting that ESPN is talking so much shit on the Raiders organization, as if like the Raiders can really know anything about ESPN. Like, okay, like
The
it
that
happened literally while we worked for you.
that was my favorite part of watching Monday Night Football last night, as Adam Schefter breaks in and they're talking about it all halftime, and it's just like they haven't even acknowledged that this was going on while he was an employee for ESPN working on Monday Night Football. It just, oh, it was so
If
funny.
if there's no other proof that like ESPN does not care about anything but itself and like doesn't actually care about true sports reporting, that is a perfect example of ESPN just ignoring facts.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not even ignoring facts. It's just shaping it, and it's shaping the story and shaping the narrative to what benefits them the most. It's
Yes.
I guess it kind of is ignoring facts. It's just kind of like it's
I mean,
selective
they straight up are ignoring the fact that he worked there when he was
because like
emailing people racist.
everybody knows that, no, but they're just not acknowledging it. It's just like it's selective fact gathering. It's like we're gonna show
Right.
you most of the story, but we're not going to talk about this little part of the story where he was working for us this entire time while he was sending all these emails.
Makes me feel like there's a lot more credence to the fact that um to the collusion argument with the Big 12 and Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. I don't know why. It just makes me feel more collusion. All right, we have gotten off a real tangent here. Let's get back to talking about the game that I don't even remember which game we were talking about at this point. Um,
Kentucky, Georgia?
yeah, Kentucky, Georgia. Kentucky's going to lose, but I think it's not going to be by the 23 and a half points that they are currently expected to lose by, according to Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be by 21. And I'm assuming in that you're probably going to take Georgia plus 23 and a half. Not on our actual bets, but like.
Oh, I got it in my actual bets. Georgia minus 23
okay.
and a half.
Okay.
I'm riding Georgia.
Yeah, I don't.
I had them last week.
Okay. So I'll go through, I'll just name in depth. I think Texas at Oklahoma State is an interesting one. I'm not sure like if Texas is I don't know where Texas is mentally right now. Like I don't know if they're what happened or if they're angry. I had to bet just based on watching Texas every single year. I think they're over, and I don't think Oklahoma State wins per se, but I think this is a close game.
Oklahoma State's coming off a bye, so they've had a whole week to kind of sit back and prepare for them. So
yeah, and I think that like speaks well to Oklahoma State. They have less talent, but just I could see Oklahoma State winning this.
Yeah,
and Texas.
I agree. I mean, if you went by rankings alone, this game is pretty heavily in the favor of Oklahoma State, who's now up to 12 in the rankings, and Texas is at 25, I believe. So if you went on rankings alone, Oklahoma State's clearly the better team, but that's why the rankings are a flawed system, because Texas is favored by like 5.5 points, something like that, at home against Oklahoma State. So I do want to touch on a doubleheader on ABC involving two of our favorite teams. Starting at noon on ABC is UCF at Cincinnati. That's going to be a pretty big game. It's probably the SMU game, and possibly the Memphis game. Do they play UC play Memphis? So it's this game. It's this game and the SMU game that are going to be their two toughest games remaining on their regular season schedule, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So there was actually some talk in the Cincinnati beat reporters. There was some talk. They had been in communication with ESPN, thinking that there was a possibility College Game Day would have been at Nippert this week. Obviously, that didn't happen. ESPN chose to go to Georgia for the third time this season because that makes sense.
I told you
Um,
earlier this season they will go to College Game Day games for games that they're not covering, and that Georgia Kentucky game is on CBS.
okay, it's fine.
I'm
I
right.
was wrong. But they don't like to is what
All
I'm
I
pointing
say,
out.
all I said is it happens.
Yeah, it happens, but they don't like to.
You said it
That
never
being said,
happens.
I'm kind of happy that College Game Day isn't going to UC this week. I'm kind of hoping that SMU stays undefeated and Cincinnati keeps winning. And so that November 20th matchup is going to be like a top 15 matchup is my hope. That's what I'm hoping. The playoff rankings will be out by then, so we'll kind of know where Cincinnati actually stands in the committee's eyes. We'll know where SMU stands in the committee's eyes and what that looks like, and that could possibly be like a really big game.
Yeah.
Because SMU is a pretty good team. They've got a really good quarterback.
One of the best quarterbacks in the country. One of the best
Yeah,
names in
yeah,
the country.
they're playing really well.
Tanner Mordecai.
They had a kind of week against Navy a little bit, but they kind of won it in the fourth quarter.
Navy's been feisty these last couple weeks.
Yep. So yeah, I'm actually going to that game. The tickets probably the most I've ever spent, second most I've ever spent on a football ticket. So
I was
that'll be fun.
surprised by the spread on that game. I think UC's favored by like 20 and a half points, 21 points, something like that. I understand UCF has really struggled these last couple of weeks. They lost that game to Navy, which shocked everybody. They snuck by East Carolina. I think it was East Carolina 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this week they snuck by East Carolina. So there's a reason for that. UCF is injured. We've got a lot of injuries. They're really I think 4 or 5 of their starting starting 11 on offense are injured.
Gotcha.
And so it's just they're not the team that we thought we were getting with UCF this year just because of the injuries.
That resume builder you thought you'd have.
Yeah, and instead it's SMU, which I actually here. Regardless, I think it's going to be a good game either way. I think UC has a chance to go in and make a statement, honestly. But also that statement's just going to kind of be meaningless because they'll have the same record as Temple, after the game.
Yeah.
UCF so it's like,
will.
okay, UCF will have the same record as Temple. So it's like, okay, you beat Temple and then you beat UCF. They have the same record.
Yeah. UCF at least has that name recognition. Most of the country doesn't actually pay attention to what UCF is doing on a week-to-week basis, but if you see UC beats UCF, I don't know, 35-14, whatever the final score would end up being, and then the majority of the country is not going to look into UCF's got a bunch of injuries. They've been pretty average to below average all season, but I think if you still go out, make a statement, win, the national consensus will look at that as a really good win.
I tend to agree with you on that entirely. Actually, I think that's just like a really great way to put that. No, but they are the second most talented team based off recruiting in the American. So
probably have the second best head coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting what UCF could do. Gus Malzahn has been known to walk into games and just make it a crazy game.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous in some ways for that. Well, UCF can score.
This is going to be UCF's they're not making the AAC championship game. They're struggling to make a bowl at this point. So they're going to be. I think they were on a bye this past week. I think they played East Carolina 2 weeks ago. Are you sure? Okay.
I don't think so. I thought I remember watching.
I
That's good. No, actually, I think you're right. I think
I thought
you are
Central.
right.
So Central Florida, Gus Malzahn has had a week to kind of prepare for this Cincinnati team. It's a threat, and I think you're
No,
going to get UCF's best shot, but
they played Eastern Carolina this past week
they
on the
did play
night.
this past week. Okay.
I still agree. I think they're gonna get. I think Cincinnati's gonna get Central Florida's best shot, and it's gonna be but I think it should be a good game, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to go.
Yeah.
I have seats in the lower bowl, 2 rows back from the sidelines on the Central Florida side, so I'm gonna be kind of ruckus.
You're going to get a lot of beer thrown at you
Oh, why?
because you're sitting in the UCF section, and they're going to be angry with you.
Oh no, I'm not sitting in the UCF section. I'm sitting in the UC section that's behind. They don't sit as fans behind their team.
Gotcha.
They sit them in the upper part of the stadium.
Gotcha. Where they belong with the peasants.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Where they belong.
Moving on to the other ABC game that I am definitely going to be tuned in for and excited for. Purdue is playing at Iowa at 3:30 on ABC after the Cincinnati game. Not expecting Purdue to win this. I will say they did beat Iowa last year. They were one of 2 losses Iowa had last year. And the last time Purdue played the number 2 ranked team in the country on an ABC game was the game that they beat Ohio State back in 2017 or 2018, whenever that was. So
I also have this on my game of games to watch. Also, I feel entirely this about this game. I feel like, okay, like this could be a little bit of a trap game or a letdown game for Iowa because
like I haven't talked myself into it as much as I did with the Notre Dame game for Purdue, but there's still like a glimmer. Like we beat them last year, and the number 2. The last time we played a number 2 in our conference was Ohio State. We won that game. We had a bye week last week. Iowa had a tough, physical, mentally draining game against Penn State. Classic trap game.
Okay, here's an interesting point that tells me that I think that Purdue could beat Iowa. Purdue beat Oregon State, who beat Hawaii, who beat Fresno State, who beat UCLA, who beat LSU, who beat Mississippi State, who beat Texas A&M, who beat Alabama.
Purdue is better than Alabama.
I'm just saying. By the transitive property, Purdue is better than Alabama, and Alabama would beat Iowa pretty handily. So putting that out there.
If Purdue doesn't make the college football playoff based on that statistic alone, I'm going to write such a strongly worded letter to the playoff committee that they won't forget it. I'll tell you that.
It's going to go right next to all the letters that I wrote them about the Group 5 teams. It's going to go right in the trash because they don't care about your opinion.
Very good point. All right, we have a couple other games to get to.
So we're recording this on Tuesday. There's a game tonight, App State versus Louisiana. I think that's going to be a great game. I don't think we're going to place any bets, but that's going to be a fun game to watch.
I'm not putting it in my best bets section since we won't be releasing that until probably Thursday of this week. And if it's wrong, then I'll look stupid. But then if it's right, then it'll be like, oh, he just put it out afterwards. No way. But I will actually be putting real money on the over in that game tonight. So I'm gonna try to have this up at some point, maybe before the game, but probably not.
I have Michigan State at Indiana as an interesting game.
That could be a loss for a Michigan State team that has looked really, really good, struggled a little bit against Rutgers, and Indiana, I think, coming off a bye as well. I don't think Indiana played last week.
I don't think.
Indiana needs
Also,
at least one positive sign out of this season. They haven't had anything go their way.
did you know that Indiana had the toughest ranked school in the country?
I did not know that, but
The number one hardest schedule in the country
doesn't
at the beginning of
shock
the season.
me saying that. Because they played
I like
Cincinnati. They played. Who else did they play? Penn State. They've already played. Have they played Ohio State yet?
they have them on the schedule.
They have Ohio State. Who was the other non-conference team that they?
Iowa.
What? They had another non-conference game at the start of the season that was pretty
Let me check.
big.
I'll pull up their schedule. You want
I
to?
had two more games that I wanted to highlight for this coming weekend. BYU is playing at Baylor.
Yep.
That's going to be a really good game. Baylor had a big win over West Virginia this past weekend. Baylor's looking pretty good. BYU disappointing loss to Boise State. Future BYU is one of the teams joining the Big 12, right?
Yes.
So future Big 12 matchup right here. That's at 3:30, and then the last one I have is Ole Miss playing at Tennessee. The only reason I'm interested in this game is because it's Lane Kiffin's first trip back to Tennessee as a head coach.
I like it. I have like two more games. I have a game in which I think we're gonna see another UConn loss.
Yale.
Yale. I think Yale is going to beat UConn. I think there's going to be more Yale fans.
Oh, he froze. He's frozen. He's frozen. Cody's frozen.
That game than UConn fans. Truthfully, I think that
we didn't hear anything you just said. You were frozen for a long time.
You didn't hear anything I just said? Okay, so I'll repeat what I just said. I think there's going to be more Yale fans at UConn game at UConn than there are UConn fans. I also think that tickets will be cheaper for Yale fans to go to UConn games than they are to go to a game at Yale, which I find to be incredibly sad.
Yeah.
UConn is such an awful program. They lost to UMass this past week. And I'd love to see what the spread is on that game because
it's not available. They haven't put it out anywhere.
Yeah, I wish I could take that. I don't even know where I could take that.
Yeah.
That's and then my last one is a Friday night game. San Diego State plays San Jose State at San Jose State. I just think that's a fun matchup, fun Mountain West matchup, and
the Mountain West has been sneaky, super entertaining, and super competitive this year. Air Force is randomly like 5-1. Boise State's like 2-3. Boise State normally runs away with that conference.
But they've also had a relatively tough schedule, and they just beat a top 10 team. BYU.
I don't think BYU is actually a top 10 team. It's definitely a good win.
Or when they beat them.
I mean, they also lost to UCF to start the season. Anyways,
say what?
All I'm saying is that the Mountain West has been really entertaining this year. I mean, Fresno State had its moment in the sunlight before they lost to Hawaii. Hawaii's always entertaining. You got the San Jose State, San Diego State. Like, there's a lot of fun teams. Utah State was pretty good there for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's by and large after those teams leave the American, the Mountain West is the best Group of 5 conference by far.
Easily.
I can understand why Boise State is staying.
I do have Indiana's. So they played Iowa to open up the season. I forgot about that.
They played Idaho.
Then they played Idaho, but then they played Cincinnati, then Western Kentucky, who's sneaky good Western Kentucky team. And they played Penn State, and then upcoming they have Michigan State, Ohio State. They have Michigan still on their schedule. So as long as they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranked teams at this point, and I mean Purdue's definitely going to be ranked when they play them at the end of the season. So there's another ranked team.
Sure.
Hey, We might get some others receiving votes if we upset Iowa this weekend. We'll be 4-2. We're not terrible. We're not
Well,
a.
I think you would be ranked if you upset Iowa.
We wouldn't be
You'd be ranked.
ranked. We wouldn't be ranked. We would be in the
I think
others receiving votes.
you'd hit 25.
No, I don't think.
All right. Well, when Purdue beats Iowa, I want a formal apology when Purdue is ranked.
If Purdue beats Iowa, I'm gonna go crazy next week. Anyways, that's pretty much all I had for Week 7 preview. You got anything else?
No, I don't.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy Week 7.